Harris and Trump battling over 7 key swing states. Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin are expected to be pivotal on a path to victory. The presidential candidates held their final campaign events in battleground states last night. Harris ended her campaign in Pennsylvania. Trump spoke in Grand Rapids, where he has ended all 3 of his presidential campaigns. In Kalkaska County at Kalkaska Township Hall, there was a steady stream of voters today. Staff busy assisting voters and handing out stickers. Kalkaska Township Clerk Christy Swakowski said at 1 o'clock this afternoon, the township had seen more than 500 people. And by the time the polls close at 8 p.m., she expects that number to have reached closer to 900 voters.
Kamala Harris spending the day in Washington, D.C., meeting with staff and participating in final interviews before heading to her alma mater, Howard University, for election night. Ajal Nishar is in Washington with the latest.
The Harris-Walz campaign using every last minute before polls close to mobilize supporters and reach every undecided voter they can. Now, when this campaign started roughly 3 months ago, they saw themselves as the underdog. But in this last week of campaigning, Harris and her surrogates are projecting more confidence that they will win. Still, they are not taking any state or any voter for granted. Staff at campaign headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware, spending Tuesday tracking turnout in critical swing states and distributing resources in places where voter attendance isn't yet where they want it to be. After 4 stops in Pennsylvania Monday, Vice President Harris spending Election Day here in Washington. Calling into an Atlanta radio station this morning, she had this message for voters in the swing state of Georgia, where Democrats narrowly won in 2020.
Today is voting day, and people need to get out and be active. The polls close at 7 p.m. And so we want to encourage everyone in Georgia to get out and vote.
Running mate Tim Walz squeezing in one more campaign stop in the capital of battleground Pennsylvania this afternoon.
How about Pennsylvania win this for America?
Walz and his family then heading south to join Harris in Washington, where they hope to make history. Throughout her campaign, Harris hasn't spent much time emphasizing the fact that she could become the first woman president and the first woman of color, but did say this morning.
To go back tonight to Howard University, my beloved alma mater, and be able to hopefully, recognize this day for what it is really, it's full circle for me.
Naturally, there's a lot of excitement built up around tonight, but a campaign source tells me they're fully prepared for the potential that we might not know the final results of some swing states like Pennsylvania until tomorrow or maybe even later. In Washington, I'm Atrell Nishar.
Well, Donald Trump spending the day in Florida, where he'll watch the results come in. Kayla Gaskins has the latest from West Palm Beach.
Donald Trump's official watch party as the results come in this evening will be here at the Palm Beach Convention Center rather than his home at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris heading into Election Day locked in a virtual dead heat in the polls. The former president casting his ballot just before noon here in Palm Beach in person today, telling reporters he was very honored. The lines were long. His running mate, J.D. Vance, cast his ballot this morning in Cincinnati, Ohio. Trump asked by reporters today if he expected this to be his last campaign. He replied, yes, I think. He was also asked if he had any regrets.
Regrets, you always have regrets. I can't think of any, to be honest, to use her expression. I can't think of any. I ran a great campaign.
In a last-minute get-out-the-vote effort, Trump taking to social media, writing, I need you to deliver your vote no matter how long it takes. Stay in line. The former president scoring a major last-minute endorsement Monday evening from popular podcast host Joe Rogan. Trump arriving in Florida after an election eve push. The former president making stops in the battlegrounds of North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Donald Trump is expecting to watch the results come in at his home at Mar-a-Lago before ending the night here at the convention center. Reporting from West Palm Beach, Florida, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Here in Michigan, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson held a press conference to send the message that preparations have been made to keep the election safe and secure. She said almost half of registered voters have already voted early.
That shows that people are voting, people are engaged, and people know the rules, which is that today is the last day to vote in this election. And whether people choose to vote in person here at precincts or returning their ballot at a local drop box, it's going to be a celebratory day, a hopeful day, and a day where we can be proud that so many people are participating in our election.
Benson says voter turnout is on track to break a Michigan record in this election.
Well, the Mike Rogers campaign is hosting its watch party event tonight at the Suburban Collection Showplace near Detroit. Our Daniel Zivian will be there all night. Joins us live. Daniel, set the scene for us.
We are in Novi, about 30 miles from downtown Detroit, but Novi is the crossroads of the metro, all the freeway exits, hotels, and a giant convention center like this one. I spoke with the campaign and they said they are feeling good. They called every phone number they had and knocked on every door. Rogers has been stumping right up to the wire, introducing former President Trump at his final rally that lasted into the early morning in Grand Rapids. The campaign told me, quote, economy is king in this election, with a huge focus on EV mandates and layoffs at the big three in Detroit. The campaign says they hope those issues will turn out a broad coalition, including more Black and Latino voters. This is also headquarters for the Michigan Trump campaign. The campaign told me that Michigan GOP Chair Pete Hoekstra is expected tonight, along with Rogers. I'll be here all night as the party unfolds. No one is here yet, aside from us press, but it's expected to get crowded, and we'll see how everyone's feeling after the polls close at 8. Live in Novi, Daniel Zivian, Up North Live News.
The Slotkin campaign is also holding a watch party in Detroit, and that's where Up North Live's Allie Baxter is tonight with our team coverage of this important Senate race.
I'm outside the Motor City Casino and Hotel. This is where Alyssa Slotkin is expected to take the stage tonight. Now, Slotkin is not a new face. She serves the U.S. House District 7 and has been a U.S. representative since 2019. She has prior experience working as a Central Intelligence Agency analyst and a Department of Defense official. Now, we're going to keep you updated on the results of this race and what her campaign is saying here tonight. In Detroit, Allie Baxter reporting.
U.S. Attorney Mark Totten of the Western District of Michigan says the Justice Department will monitor compliance with federal voting rights laws in several cities and counties. We had a chance to talk with Cooley Law Professor Jeffrey Swartz today and asked him just how secure are elections in Michigan.
At least with states being called, even though maybe only 70 or 75% of the vote is counted, they'll be able to project the fact that certain states will go a certain way. I think that there's a real possibility that we will see a projected winner in the presidential race by maybe 1 o'clock in the morning.
Voter turnout has been strong.
Here's Tanya Brown outside Darlington Ward number 3. What's it been like there today, Tanya?
Jennifer, I didn't encounter long lines at any of the precincts, but as you can see behind me, but that does not mean that it hasn't been busy. People have been steadily going in and out of the precincts to cast their ballots. And as if with any elections, there were a few problems at some of the polling places. Polling officials tell me that across the Pee Dee, one of the biggest issues they've had today involved people voting at the wrong precinct or trying to vote at the wrong precinct. In most cases, they were redirected to their correct polling place. The precinct in downtown Atlanta had more than 230 voters by 9 o'clock this morning. And over in Marlborough County, the town of Clio saw more than 350 people by 4 o'clock this afternoon. Poll managers tell me that's extremely good for a town of their size. Many people say the local sheriff's races, the economy, and restoring unity in our nation are the main reasons why they voted today.
All the crap going on, all the divisiveness and stuff that we've had to go through for the past 8 years. It's horrible.
Mostly the economy, you know, the prices of things and how that's been really hard on my family and the whole nation, really.
Many say they pray their vote makes a difference that leads to lower inflation and better paying jobs right here in South Carolina. Coming up, you're going to learn about a pretty serious problem at one of the precincts that led poll workers to resort to using emergency ballots. For now, live in Darlington, Tanya Brown, ABC 15 News.
Tanya, thank you. Now, election officials say they expect more than half of Florence County's registered voters to cast ballots in this general election.
And we got a call this morning from a resident with concerns about flags flying at their North Myrtle Beach polling location.
And our Emma Engel is working for you tonight, looking into the issue and also finding out whether or not these flags are breaking the law. What did you find out, Emma?
Jen Connor, I went to the polling location at the Barefoot Convention Center on Premier Resort Boulevard,
where these flags and Israel flag, a Christian flag, and a Back the Blue flag have flown for the last couple of weeks. We got a tip that just 2 days ago, a Donald Trump flag was among those flying over this polling location. I spoke with a voter upset about the flags and took her concerns to the State Election Commission for some answers. According to State Election Commission spokesman John Michael Catalano, state law prohibits a person from displaying any type of campaign literature within 500 feet from the entrance of the polling site. He also says the flags being flown right now wouldn't be considered campaign material if they, quote, don't have the intention or effect of supporting or opposing any candidate, party, or question in the election. Patty Hilton tells me she feels these flags should be considered voter intimidation.
It's our duty as Americans to take care of each other and to make sure nobody feels bad or is afraid to vote.
Hilton tells me her friend tried asking the poll manager to take down the flags for Election Day, and he refused. I tried speaking with the poll manager as well, and he told me to speak to Sandy Martin, Horry County's election director. I did reach out to Sandy Martin today. She told me she sent an election commissioner to the precinct who determined the flags weren't violating the law. Coming up at 7, you'll meet a voter who ended up calling the police about the flags this morning. Jen?
Emma, thank you. Now, we want to hear from you. If you had any trouble at the polls or do you have a story idea to share, call our tip line. The number is right there on your screen. Trump casting his ballot in the 2024 election today. He voted in person at his precinct in Palm Beach, Florida, with his wife, Melania. Speaking to reporters afterwards, Trump says he's, quote, very confident that he'll win the election and, quote, it won't be even close. He aired his grievance about how long it takes to tally up the results. When asked if he will concede the election if he loses, the Republican nominee said he doesn't want to think about losing, but
if I lose an election, if it's a fair election, I'd be the first one to acknowledge it.
He says that he thinks it's been fair so far and that Republicans have turned out in droves to vote for it.
And the Republican nominee for vice president also voting today. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance was joined by his wife Usha and his children at St. Anthony of Padua Church in Cincinnati. Vance says he feels good about the race, but regardless of the result, today displays the importance of democracy.
I certainly hope you vote for Donald J. Trump today. I think that his policies are going to promote peace and prosperity for our citizens. But if you vote the wrong way, in my view, I'm still going to love you.
He encourages voters to remember, quotes, we are all on the same team at the end of it.
Vice President Kamala Harris opted for a mail-in ballot, her campaign telling the press it's as a way to model the different modes of voting for Americans. Her VP pick, Governor Tim Walz, casting his ballot early on October 23rd, along with his family while in St. Paul, Minnesota. Harris's final stop was in Pennsylvania with a star-studded rally. Walz in his home state of Minnesota ahead of today.
So who will be president and who will control Congress? Those are the biggest questions as the results roll in from around the country. National correspondent Matt Galka tells us what to watch for.
Good evening, everyone. We're here at our big map waiting for those polls to close and those election results to come in, as I'm sure all of you are as well. As we go throughout the night, this map will update in real time with all of the latest results. Here's what we're watching. If election trends hold, we've been talking about these states all year. The 7 crucial swing states we're watching: Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. Which way are they going to go? Can former President Donald Trump win back these blue wall states he was able to flip back in 2016 on his way to the White House? Or can Vice President Kamala Harris hold the blue wall and essentially already get enough votes to get to the White House? Now, those are the big swing states we'll be watching. But we're also watching the balance of power in Congress, specifically some big-time Senate races. 51-49 currently. Democrats are in control, meaning Republicans only need to win 2 seats to have an outright majority, and there are some big races to watch around the country. What we're expecting in West Virginia, we're expecting right off the bat, when polls close at 7:30, that to be a flip. Jim Justice polling very well. Retiring Senator Joe Manchin decided not to seek another term, expecting a flip right there. But some other races. In Wisconsin, incumbent Tammy Baldwin, considered one of the most vulnerable blue wall senators. Can she hold off Eric Hovde? Now, can Democrats Can they hold their seat? Out in Arizona, Ruben Gallego versus former TV anchor Carrie Lake. Another big race we're watching. Every race to control the Senate is going to be pivotal for both parties. Along with the presidential race, those are just some of the things we're watching. Of course, we'll be keeping an eye on it all night. And again, our map and our data will update in real time, and we'll be sure to bring you the results as soon as we have them. Reporting in Washington, I'm Matt Gelka.
And that brings us to today's question of the day, as a repeat of yesterday's. In fact, what issue was the deciding factor in your vote for president? Economy and inflation, border immigration, abortion, or foreign policy? You can scan the QR code there on your screen or head over to WPDE.com/question to weigh in.
And we do have the results so far on that question. 46% of you have said the economy, 34% say the border, 16% abortion, and 4% said foreign policy.